Rain hammered down on the emerald canopy of the Sylvan forest, drumming out all other sounds save for the frantic footsteps of Myrien. Mud clung to her boots as she crashed through tangled undergrowth, one hand clutching an oilskin satchel bulging with spidery roots and a strange, glassy seedling that pulsed faintly with pale blue light. She'd barely slept since her discovery 3 nights ago. A scientist at heart, Myrien usually kept to her tiny, ivy-wrapped cottage at the forest's edge, cataloging ferns and fungi in solitude. But after the seedling appeared, growing in a perfect ring of ancient stones, nothing about her life felt calm or safe. A distant, spectral whisper curled through the trees, chilling her blood. She skidded to a halt behind a mossy trunk. That voice, she'd heard it before, echoing each night since she brought the seedling home. "They're coming. You cannot keep it," it hissed, almost as if the wind itself grew teeth. Myrien pressed a trembling finger to her lips, straining to listen. There was another sound now, metallic, steady, purposeful. Boots. Someone or something else was coming. She crept further, heart hammering. Suddenly a figure stepped from the mist. He wore battered armor stained with rust and regret, golden hair tangled and wild under his helm. His sword was drawn. "You're the botanist, aren't you?" His voice was rough, but something like hope flickered in his gaze. "Yes, I have to protect this," Myrien replied, her voice barely above a whisper, drawing the satchel close. He took a wary step forward, lowering his blade just a little. "My name is Edric, and trust me, you're not the only one looking. The shaded mage sends his hounds. The guardians stir. We must move before night falls fully." Before Myrien could answer, branches shifted above. A shape melted from the shadow, fur, feathers, then suddenly a lithe woman with eyes like moonstones stepping lightly onto the path. "You draw quite the crowd, botanist," she said, lips twisting in challenge. "My name is Lys, and I suggest we disappear. Quickly." Lightning flashed. In that brilliant instant, several ghostly figures flickered between the ancient oaks, guardians or worse, drawn by the forbidden seedling's light. Myrien's choices narrowed to a single path: trust the strangers, run, and keep the miracle safe. The fate of every world in Arindale hung in the balance. A crack of branch and the wailing of distant spirits snapped Myrien out of her hesitation. Trust was a luxury, one she didn't truly own, but necessity cornered them all now. With a nod from Lys, the trio ducked into the underbrush. Lys led, shifting effortlessly from human shape into a midnight-striped wolf. Edric moved next, sword ready and shoulders tense. Myrien followed, clutching the satchel as if the seedling alone tethered her to the waking world. Dim green light flickered as Lys prowled ahead, nose to the damp leaves. "They draw closer, from both worlds," she growled, her voice rippling through her animal form. "The seedling's aura burns through the veil. We'll be hunted until dawn." Edric grunted. "Let them try." Myrien winced. "No, there's more at stake than you know. If the balance breaks—" She stopped. She could barely explain it to herself, much less others. Images haunted her. Forests unraveling, skies split open, entire villages torn between worlds. "Balance?" Edric asked. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, but Lys's pointed stare pushed her on. "The Celestial Grove isn't just old trees. It's a hinge for Arindale and the realms beyond. Something about the seedling. When I found it, I saw glimpses. Portals, memories, and something monstrous reaching through." Thunder rumbled. The air thickened. Myrien could swear the trees pressed closer, curious or wary. Time and space folded strangely in this heart of the forest. They might run in circles or vanish between worlds with a single misplaced step. A sudden clang, a warning bell echoed faintly. Edric spun. "That's the outer village. They're on the move. We need cover." Lys circled a fallen log, then human again. She beckoned. "Here! Through the Elder's tunnel." They pressed tight through a crawl space of intertwined roots, slick, ancient things humming with power. Myrien's fingers brushed silver moss, and in that touch, she heard a chorus of soft, yearning voices. "Return us to the light. Guard the hinge. Beware the shadowed king." She gasped, stumbling through the exit. Edric steadied her, and Lys scanned the gloom. "The guardians know you now," Lys whispered, "and so do their enemies." Myrien met their eyes, seeing not strangers but the only shield she had left. "If you'll help me, I'll share what I know. But first, we must reach the Celestial Grove. If anyone can unlock the truth, maybe even save us, it's there." A distant howl, half-spirit, half-beast, chased them deeper into the breathing dark. The old tunnel spat them out into a hollow of silvery grass ringed with luminous mushrooms. Pale motes danced on the air, brightening as Myrien's satchel drew near. She clutched it tightly, keenly aware of the invisible eyes pressing in from all sides. Edric peered up at a shattered moon glimpsed through the canopy. "If the grove's in that direction," he whispered, "we'll be cutting straight through Mage territory. They keep more than just hounds." Lys smirked. "Let them bring their monsters." Myrien's confidence felt thinner than the mist swirling around them. "If they catch us, they'll tear the truth out of my mind if they have to. We have to stay hidden." Lys shifted to a sleek panther, melting into shadow and reappearing on the far side of the clearing. "Follow my steps exactly. No noise, no questions." Step by tense step they moved, Myrien heart pounding as every mushroom's glow seemed to spike in warning. Then, as they passed under a low arch of ancient roots, the air shimmered and a shroud of cold clamped down. A spectral figure materialized, floating, translucent, robed and crowned with branches. Its eyes were white embers. Lys bared her teeth held. "You trespass," the guardian intoned. "You bear the changing seed. Return it, or all paths will close to you." Myrien swallowed hard. "I mean no harm. The world is at risk. Help us, please." A flicker of surprise crossed the guardian's face. "One among you carries guilt that stains the roots. Another walks between forms. All are tainted by shadow. Yet the seed must walk its chosen path." Edric stepped forward, bowing his head. "Allow us passage. Judgment can wait, if there is hope to save Arindale." The guardian gazed at each of them in turn. "The mage's pawns are close. Trust is your only shield. You have until dawn. Go." The figure swept a hand and the air shimmered, clearing the way. Myrien exhaled shaky relief even as the others tensed. Dawn was only hours away, and the sense of being hunted grew ever sharper. Stepping deeper into the grove's territory, Myrien plucked up her courage. "Thank you," she muttered to both her companions. "I couldn't have done that alone." Lys only nodded, her gaze fixed on distant, unknowable threats. For the first time, Edric managed a thin smile. "You might be the key to more than this grove, Myrien. Let's not waste that chance." Their bond, forged in peril and uncertainty, grew just a little stronger as they vanished into the whispering wood. Mist thickened around them like a living thing, muffling footsteps and twisting the shapes between the trees. Lys trotted ahead in wolf form, ears flat, tracking scents that vanished as soon as they appeared. Every so often she'd dart behind Myrien for reassurance, the change in her body language making Myrien realize even the unflappable shapeshifter felt fear here. Crunches and hushed voices snapped through the fog nearby. Edric held up a hand, motioning for silence. Shadows danced ahead, torches flickering blue. The shaded mages patrol, flesh and phantom, masked in glyph-etched helms. 3-foot soldiers and a pale, robed figure floated just above the ground, the air around them shimmering from forbidden magic. "Stay down," Edric breathed, gesturing the others behind a fallen trunk. He drew his sword, but kept close, waiting, not for a fight, but a miracle. The marchers paused, their leaders sniffing the air. "The seed is near," the mage hissed. "Fan out." Panic stabbed at Myrien. She pressed the seedling to her chest and whispered, "Hide us, please." On instinct, she felt a pulse travel along her arms into the earth. The mist surged, a tide of silver clouds swallowing her, Edric and Lys whole. The patrol passed less than a foot away. The magic pressed coldly against their bodies, but they were unseen, the mist warping around them like a gentle wall. As the last boots clattered away, Myrien let out a ragged breath. "I didn't know I could do that." Edric clapped her shoulder, awe and relief fighting across his face. "You did? You will. The seed is waking something in you." Lush shifted human and grinned. "Not bad for a botanist. You saved us." Myrien blushed, determined now to understand these powers, not for herself, but for the grove and all it protected. She glanced at her satchel, heart pounding not in fear, but with a small spark of hope. "We need to hurry. If I can do that, maybe the grove can tell me why." The three broke cover and hurried deeper into the forest. The land began to change. Roots sprawled like the veins of the world, flowers glowed with celestial patterns, and an energy hummed in Myrien's bones. For the first time since the terror began, she found herself longing to see what came next. But as the path wound steeply upward, a terrible cry split the quiet. A shadow fell across the moon. Up ahead, something vast and feathered, half bird, half nightmare, perched atop a splintered tree, its luminous eyes locked on the group. Edric stepped forward bravely, raising his sword. "Hold," Lys warned, raising a shaking hand. "This is not one of the mage's tricks. This is a true guardian, one that only answers to the celestial grove itself." Myrien set her jaw, feeling the seedling pulse inside her satchel. Only by facing the guardian could they move forward. The challenge waited, and with it, the next secret to their world's salvation. The giant feathered guardian towered over the trio, its wings blotting out the waning moonlight. Electric blue feathers shimmered, and from its hooked beak issued a voice that echoed through both mind and air. "Seedbearer," the guardian boomed, "you seek the grove's heart, but first you must prove you are worthy of its secrets." Myrien's hands shook as she stepped closer. "I am no hero," she said quietly, "but I have to save Arindale. Tell me how." The guardian's eyes narrowed. "Only the true of purpose may pass. You must answer me 3 questions, each a key to the grove's awakening. Fail, and be cast into shadow." Edric bristled. "Let her be, she's risked her life already." The bird laugh echoed, deep and damning. "All champions risk, but wisdom saves. Now answer." Its feathers glittered. "First, what roots bind the worlds and keep the veils from breaking?" Myrien steadied her breath. She remembered the voices whispering in the roots, the old tales. "Trust, hope, sacrifice, the unseen things that outlast even the tallest trees." The guardian inclined its head. "Second, if given power over all, what must be surrendered to wield it justly?" She looked at her companions, exile and outcast, yet they stood unyielding with her. "Pride. You have to give up the need to be above others, to serve, not rule." The guardian blinked slowly, considering. "Last, what is the fate of those who forget the grove's true purpose?" Memories flicked through Myrien's mind, the devastation she'd glimpsed, worlds unrooted. "They become shadows, they lose themselves, and their world falls to ruin and darkness." A hush, and then the guardian bowed its great plume. "You have seen truly, Seedbearer. Pass and remember, choices shape what grows, just as surely as soil and sun." With a sweep of its wings, the path ahead cleared. Celestial flowers blazed in a ring, and their lights formed a door of pure humming gold. "Lys," her voice now soft with wonder, touched Myrien's shoulder. "Without you, we would never have come this far. The seed chose right." Myrien gave a trembling smile, the weight of destiny grounding her fears. "I'm not sure I'm ready, but I trust you both. Let's see what waits at the grove's heart." As the trio stepped through the luminescent archway, everything changed. Time slowed, the forest song took on an impossible depth, and a last, urgent whisper from the seedling echoed in Myrien's mind. "Hurry! The darkness follows." The golden doorway dissolved behind them, sealing out the clamoring darkness, but only for now. Myrien's breath caught as she gazed on the grove's heart, an impossible cathedral of trees, their bark shimmering with galaxies, their leaves trailing light like waterfalls. Stars winked among the branches. The air here pulsed with living memory, thick with every promise ever made under the sky. Lys stared wide-eyed, her usual confidence vanished in awe. "No story ever did this place justice," she breathed. Edric's grip on his sword loosened. "I never thought I'd see it with my own eyes." Myrien felt the weight of countless souls pressing in, ancestors and spirits alike. Yet for all its beauty, an undercurrent of dread twisted through the roots, shadows flickering just beyond the farthest boughs, gnawing at the light. A cluster of elder spirits emerged, their forms woven from moonbeams and cloud. They moved to encircle Myrien, Lys, and Edric. One, draped in robes of luminous moss, spoke directly to the botanist. "You carry the changing seed. Here in this place it shall reveal its lore if you have the courage." Myrien nodded, trembling but resolute. She drew the satchel open. The seedling floated from her hands, roots dangling, leaves blazing blue. For a moment, all time held its breath. The grove itself shimmered, the ground splitting to form a pool of liquid starlight. The seedling sank in, visions assaulted Myrien's senses, all the worlds the grove guarded, the portals it locked, the fates that depended on its survival. She saw Arindale burning beneath the shaded mage's rule, saw Lys alone, wandering abandoned worlds, saw Edric falling, forsaken and forgotten. She gasped and stumbled. Edric caught her, worry sharp in his eyes. "What did you see?" "Truths," Myrien managed. "If the grove falls, every world tied to it will unravel. The mage isn't just a power-hungry tyrant. He's consumed by the darkness that feeds off forgotten promises. If he takes the seedling, it's not just Arindale that's lost. It's everything. Lisa's expression hardened with new resolve. So we have to protect the grove, no matter the cost. The spirits nodded. You are joined now, fate-bound. But be warned. The mage approaches, wielding forbidden rites. To save the grove, all three must confront the shadows within. Only then will the seedling's final power awaken. A tremor rocked the forest, echoes of the mage's coming rippling through the branches. Myrien reached for her friends. We're out of time. If we stand together, we still have a chance. The heart of the grove flared with light, but beyond the sanctuary 1,000 ghostly shapes began to gather, and a far colder darkness loomed ever closer. The grove's heart trembled, its light flickering as the encroaching darkness pressed smugly at its borders. Myrien felt raw energy biting at her skin. Even the air tasted sharper, as if on the brink of a storm. The spectral spirits drew closer, their faces grief-struck. Edric sheathed his sword, stepping boldly to the grove's edge. I know the mage, he said, voice pitched with old pain. He was once a guardian of light, until he let jealousy devour him. If he harnesses the grove's power, nothing will be left but shadow. Lys, shifting between a phantom lynx and mist, prowled at Myrien's side. He's not coming alone. He means to break us before he breaks the grove. Suddenly, the grove's trembling stilled. The luminous tree nearest Myrien bent, lowering a branch close to her face. Whispers, urgent, desperate, rushed through her mind. 3 hearts, 3 shadows. To save the grove, you must claim your truths. Myrien shuddered, her gaze flicking to her companions. She saw Edric's guilt, Lys's loneliness, her own fear reflected in their faces. Is this what the spirits mean? Our own darkness? Myrien asked, tears pricking her eyes. The eldest spirit nodded. You must face what you most fear, now before all is lost. The ground split, forming a triangle of glowing roots around Myrien, Edric, and Lys. Each was drawn into their memory. Myrien relived the childhood moment she abandoned a dying grove for her own ambition. Edric faced the broken trust of the knightly order he failed. Lys faced her shapeshifter clan's exile and the endless ache of belonging nowhere. Myrien's breath hitched as regret clawed at her heart. I was afraid of caring, because nothing I care for ever lasts. Edric whispered, I let pride blind me. I failed them all. Lys muttered, I ran, and there's nowhere left to run. As the 3 spoke, silvery light wound around their feet, binding them together. Myrien reached for their hands. That's the past. But now, we stand here together. We choose hope. We choose each other. The grove stands with unity, not perfection. A surge of energy burst from the ground, mending the grove's glow. The seedling emerged from the pool, transformed, its trunk clear as crystal, leaves blazing with the memory of every world. Lys smiled, for once vulnerable. We're stronger together. Let the mage come. I know who I am now. But even as they drew resolve from their unity, a shadow fell across the grove. Cloaked in flickering darkness and crowned with stolen stars, the mage appeared, his eyes fixed hungrily on the newborn tree between them. The shaded mage hovered at the grove's edge, darkness billowing in his wake like a living cloak. He surveyed the trio and the gleaming seedling, laughter as cold as winter steel pouring from his lips. So this is what stands before me. A failed knight, a lost beast, and a botanist haunted by regret. Relinquish the seedling, or become roots for my new world. Edric stepped forward, sword blazing in the grove's borrowed light. You won't take it. Your power won't last outside the shadows, and you know it. The mage smiled, cruel and dreadful. You forget. I was chosen once, as you were. What is the grove but a tool for those strong enough to claim it? Myrien shook her head, meeting the mage's ruined gaze with steady courage. The grove isn't a weapon. It binds worlds together, through hope and sacrifice. Look at yourself. You became what you hated, all because you couldn't accept being one among many. The mage's shadows hissed, dark tendrils slithering toward the trio. Lys leapt, shifting to a silver falcon and striking with razor talons. But every wound she dealt closed as fresh shadow pooled around the mage. Enough! Myrien called, calling on the grove itself. The transformed seedling flared, and every tree answered with a song of light. The grove's spirits rose, rallying around the trio, pushing back the mage's encroaching darkness for a precious moment. The grove chose us all once, Edric said loudly. It's not too late, even for you. Let go of your anger. The mage hesitated, shadow war flickering in his eyes, but the darkness inside him roared louder. "You don't understand. Shadows are all I have left." "Then let us share our light," Lys urged, her voice echoing in every glade and hollow. "We faced what we feared, and now it's your choice. Stay in shadow, or remember what it feels like to hope." For a heartbeat, the mage faltered. The grove's energy pulsed, sensing a possible turning point, or a coming cataclysm. The struggle poised on a trembling edge. Myrien, Edric, and Lys stood shoulder to shoulder, ringed by ancestral light, unwilling to yield. But beyond them, the shadows began to churn and seethe, stirring the ground. The final battle for the Celestial Grove and the fate of Arindale was about to begin. Lightning forked across the sky, painting the grove's cathedral canopy in jagged blue. The mage's shadows thickened, writhing with malignant hunger, pressing in on the circle of light conjured by Myrien, Edric, and Lys. With every heartbeat, it felt as if the fate of every world tightened around them. Myrien locked eyes with Edric and Lys. "Hold on to me, together, now!" They clasped hands, the new seedling cradled between them. Myrien felt the grove's heartbeat, centuries of memory, joy and pain, unity and loss, flowing through her veins. She pressed their joined palms to the seedling's radiant bark. Light blazed where they touched. The mage lashed out, casting barbs of living shadow. Edric parried fiercely, his blades sparking with each impact. Lys whirled between forms, cat, hawk, human, using chaos against darkness, but the mage's will seemed infinite. "Why won't you yield?" the mage shrieked, his voice split with desperation and rage. "You cannot endure the night forever." Myrien shouted above the storm. "We're not fighting for ourselves, we fight for every promise, every world the grove protects." Tendrils of shadow snaked toward Myrien. Pain seared through her as doubts and regrets threatened to swallow her mind. In a desperate act, she drew upon the unity forged by their journey, channeling not just her energy, but the hope, courage, and pain of Edric and Lys. A vision exploded in all their minds, a withered world, Arindale wreathed in shadow, the realms beyond collapsing into endless night. Myrien let the vision burn through her. Then, with trembling resolve, she cast it aside, choosing to remember only the warmth of their bonds, the hope given by sacrifice. She found her voice, clear and strong in the tumult. "I forgive you, Mage, for what you've lost, for what you became. The Grove offers you a chance to begin again." For a moment, the Mage faltered, the darkness around him pulsing with confusion. A flicker of the man he once was showed through, yet the shadows convulsed, resisting the light. The struggle would demand even more. Spirits of the Grove rallied, joining their chorus to Myrien's. The Grove endures through connection, through forgiveness, through truth. Edric, bleeding but standing, added his hope aloud. "You were a guardian once. Let yourself remember." Lys, battered and bright-eyed, called, "Every shadow is born from light." All around, the worlds of the Grove, visible through flickering portals, teetered on the edge of destruction. The mage screamed, torn between longing and fury, as the shadows reached for the seedling. The Grove's very roots shook. A single critical choice hung in the balance, their lives and all the realms poised for salvation or utter ruin. The world held its breath. The Grove's roots glowed with diamond-bright veins, and the portals to other realms flickered perilously close to collapse. Myrien, Edric, and Lys pressed in, hearts pounding, the seedling's light burning hotter with every word, every memory, every scrap of hope shared. The mage staggered, caught between the crushing chains of his own shadows and the luminous invitation of the Grove. For the first time, tears streaked his ashen face. All at once, the shadows wailed. It wasn't just the mage's pain, but the pain of every broken promise, every world left unhealed. Myrien saw clearly. Darkness didn't want to destroy. It longed to be accepted, forgiven, and transformed. She reached out, voice gentle but unwavering. "You are not alone. Let us help you restore what you've lost, what we all nearly lost." The mage collapsed to his knees, clawing at the Grove's living roots, his power unraveling. Shadows billowed, then shivered. With a final shattering cry, the mage released the tangled darkness. It poured off him in a torrent, briefly blotting out all light, then melted away into the Grove, absorbed and redeemed like compost, nourishing new life. Bathed in blinding radiance, the mage became only a man once again. He looked up at Myrien, his voice hoarse. "Can you forgive even me?" Edric limped forward, hand on Myrien's shoulder. "We all fall. The Grove stands because someone always chooses to lift another." Lys drew the mage to his feet. You brought us here in your own way. Let us finish this together. Myrien planted the awakened seedling in the grove's heart. The soil swallowed it gently. Lightning lanced downward in silent celebration, and all the trees shimmered from root to highest bough. Across all worlds, portals knitted closed with golden thread, healed by sacrifice, forgiveness, and unity. The grove's spirits, now peaceful, bowed to the living trio and their unlikely ally. The hinge holds, the worlds endure. With the crisis past, the grove adjusted, a touch brighter now for the scars it bore. Myrien felt the change inside her. She was no longer just a botanist. She was a bridge between worlds, a keeper of balance, her scars now fragrant with purpose. Edric's honor, long wounded, found new meaning. Lys's loneliness eased in the warmth of chosen family. Even the former mage, now just Alaric, remained to tend, planting seeds under starlit boughs. As dawn spilled across Arindale, Myrien gazed at her companions. We faced every shadow and every part of ourselves. Whatever comes, we'll meet it together. Far above, a single new blossom unfurled on the celestial branches, promising new dangers, new hope, a life worth fighting for, in every world the grove sheltered. And so the shadows receded, but the memory of their struggle would endure in every whisper of leaf and shimmer of light, reminding all who entered the grove that what binds us saves us.